Today we are in Berlin, and it's a fantastic vibrant city when it comes to different types of food offers, with everything from high quality kebab shops to free Michelin star restaurants. Our review of this evening is a restaurant that's called Facil, which has 2 Michelin stars and is run and operated by a chef called Michael Kempf. I'm really looking forward to this. I haven't been spending too much time in Berlin, and I know that Germans are famously known for their precision when it comes to executing fine dining dishes, so it's going to be really interesting to see that. So please, join me here and let's find out if Facil is worth a visit while you are in Berlin. There's a set menu of 5 to 8 dishes to choose from, and I went with 6 dishes this evening and asked for some recommendations on what not to miss. To start off our dinner, we were offered some finger food, and here we had a ceviche of sturgeon together with some tiger milk gel, and then there was a kale dumpling with some barley and bacon, and finally there was a buckwheat crepe with some duck leg and a variation of red cabbage. Starting with the ceviche, and this will fit in any 3-star Michelin restaurant in the world. It has really clear flavors, perfect acidity level in the ceviche, and the tiger milk gel there just really brought a lot of complexity into this bite. The kale dumpling didn't shine as bright as the ceviche version, but it was still good. The dumpling was chewy and nice, and it had some nice textures there from the bacon as well. And moving to the buckwheat crepe, that was a lot better. I liked the spice mix on the duck, and the red cabbage there in the different forms brought some other textures and flavor notes to this bite. Before moving into the first course of the menu, we were offered another snack here that was a salad made up with some pak choy, sushi ginger gari, yellow radishes, a mango caviar that you see on top here, some black sesame seeds, and a creme fraiche that was mixed up with some wasabi. I really like the portion size here, because normally the snacks are just 1 bite pieces, which is good, but it's also nice to have, in contrast to that, a little bit of a larger portion that makes you able to eat it a little bit longer and really analyze the flavor in it. This, together with the sturgeon tartelette, was my favorite snacks. So moving into the first course of the menu here we have a langoustine from the Faroe Islands together with some corn, pointed cabbage and chipotle, and I really like the simplicity in this presentation. Everything is neatly organized and I can't wait to dig in. The langoustine is perfectly cooked and just lightly torched on the outside there, and then you have that s'more tartelette with the pointed cabbage and the corn and a popcorn there on the top, and everything is brought together by a reduced stock from the langoustine. I really enjoy the flavors here. They're fresh and vibrant, and the quality of the langoustine is outstanding. Moving into the bread serving, and here we had 2 different versions of a baguette, a classic one, and then we had a more darker version with a sourdough base inside it. And I have to say here that I was surprised that the quality was not higher on the bread. It was a little bit dense for my liking, and I was expecting a little bit more here. Our second dish of the menu was a caviar dish here that consisted of a set smoked buttermilk, and then you had a oolong tea that was infused with some fig leaves. I think this was a really beautiful presentation to look at here, and again, few ingredients, but everything clearly stands out, and I really like that small flower decoration in the middle, just giving a little bit of color contrast to these other humble colors on the plate. Flavor-wise, I really liked this one. The buttermilk was not smoked too much, and that gentle aromatic touch of fig leaves just went through the dish in a really nice way, and then you had that generous amount of caviar on the top, bringing that nice saltiness to the dish. Really good, and one of the better dishes of this evening.
The lake trout for you next, which is coming from Mr. Bill Mo's fish farm, which is in Bavaria, in Helsing. And in this case, we dry age the lake trout 5 to 7 days. It depends on how it develops. This has to follow the taste of the fish is getting a bit more intense. and the fillet itself is pan-fried on the skin side, so it's getting very crispy. And we have a dumpling with dill and almond cream. And in addition, for me, to be honest, one of the best parts about it is the beurre blanc, where you have some trout caviar with celery dices and almond oil.
This was one of the recommended dishes when I was asking about the menu in the beginning here, and I really think that you should do that when you come to a restaurant. Really ask for what to eat, what are the signature dishes, because the service staff will know that and they really want to serve you what the restaurant is famous for. So here we had this beautiful trout here. It's going to be so interesting to see how it is developed there with that dry aging technique. So let's dig into it. Very interesting here. The fish tastes so fresh, but it has a depth to it thanks to that dry aging technique. And it's not a funky flavor that you will find in a dry aged meat, but it just has a lot more flavor into it. And then coming to the skin here, it's so crispy and really brings a lot of texture throughout this dish. Really good. And then the dumpling on the side with the almond cream inside, bringing another flavor profile that is not taking over too much, and a nice creaminess to contrast the crispy parts here. And then ending off with the beurre blanc with some trout roe popping in your mouth while eating it. I really enjoy to eat this dish. It's really good. Moving into the fourth dish of the menu, and here's another recommendation from the service staff, and this was Icelandic cod, bacalao style, and bacalao is the salted dried cod, and together with this was some stew with beans and chorizo. Interesting choice here of the serving vessel that brings some elevation to the table, and seeing the cod coming out through the dish here in a very nice and clean way. Moving into the flavors in this dish, and you have that very light type of sauce, almost like a bisque, with the pieces of beans inside, and we also had the dice of chorizo. It's really mellow and nice, this dish, and you also have some type of caviar inside here. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but everything is delicate. The fish is perfectly cooked. I really enjoy to eat this dish also. Ending the savory part of the meal with a saddle of venison from Fleming, and also a Roscoff onion that was filled with some potato cream, and a jus that contains some violet mustard and marjoram. Again, a very nice and tidy presentation, and I do appreciate when it is like this, because when you mash things up a little bit too much, the flavors can be a little bit lost when they are, melting into each other already on the plate. So for me, I prefer this type of flavors where you can combine them on the plate yourself. It's hard to complain about anything about this dish. Everything is executed in a very nice way and the flavors are up there. What I'm missing a little bit is maybe the generosity that I would like to have with the last savory part of a tasting menu. It just needs to be a little bit more and a little bit more generous. So that's what I'm missing on this plate of food. But besides that, it's very good. Jumping straight into the main dessert, and I'm missing maybe a pre-dessert here, and not because I'm greedy, but because it is a good, bridge over from the savory part of the meal into the more sweet part here, instead of just, ending your main course and directly moving into the main dessert. But with that said, what an absolute beautiful plate to look at, and this is a little bit what I've been seeking for this dinner, to see this type of presentation with this amount of detail on it. Truly stunning. The pear here filled with a coffee cream that is very delicate and nice, and the ice cream bringing a very needed coolness to this dish with some caramel tones in it. And then you have that acorn on the side there, almost copper in its color, and that is filled with, I think, is chocolate ganache and some crispy bits in it. Really nice. and then you have the variation of the pear scattered around this plate together with the walnuts and other parts. Really beautiful to eat. Everything is harmonious and comes together in a extremely nice way on your palate, and I have to say that this is the dish that I've been waiting for this whole evening. It's the best one, it's most beautiful, and it's also tastes best. Ending the meal here with some nice petit fours. So what did I think then about my visit here at Facil in Berlin? Well, starting with the food, I have to say that I was expecting maybe a little bit more quality throughout the menu on all the dishes, and what really stood out for me and was a clear winner was the dessert. It was solid, it was a really good presentations, and all the flavors were really good. And I was maybe thinking that that type of dish would be more representative throughout the whole menu, and the absolute low point for me was the bread. That was just on a completely other level compared to everything else in this restaurant, and I cannot really understand why they choose to serve that. So with that said, I'm gonna put the food rating here at 90 points. Coming to the service part of the scoring, and here I also have to say that I was expecting a little bit more in a 2 Michelin star restaurant, and if it wasn't for one Asian German lady who was really good, the scoring would probably be lower. But I just missed personality throughout the evening and really having that good interaction between the service staff and the guests, and also how the service staff team was collaborating and how that could be fine-tuned into something that is much better than what I experienced this evening. So with that said, I'm gonna put the rating here on the service at 87 points. And lastly, as always, coming to the ambience part of the scoring here, and don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful place. It's on the 5th floor in the Mandala hotel. The dining room is very elegant and nice, and I know during the summer you can sit outside also here, but I just missed also here on this part a little bit personality. The table setting was identical on the tables. It was nothing really that stood out for me here, so I thought it was a little bit boring to sit in this restaurant, to be honest, and therefore I'm gonna put the scoring here on the ambience at 86 points. And with that said, that brings closure to this review from Facil in Berlin, and I really hope that you have enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please hit like and subscribe. It will help me a lot in this journey that I'm trying to develop. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.